To be very honest, I will admit that every time I hear about a new Under Armour Elite athlete signing, I really wonder what the heck are they gonna do all their daily training miles in. But now, there seems to be a bit of an answer. This is the Under Armour Infinite Elite, and it's time to take it for a ride. Yo, what's going on? My name is Kapuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And today, I want to talk to you guys all about the new Under Armour Infinite Elite. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that Under Armour sent to me for the purpose of review, so I did not have to pay for these shoes. However, nobody's paying me to make this video or to include their shoe in this video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Under Armour Infinite Elite, and let's start with the specs. This is at least on paper, a 36mm stack height shoe with an 8mm drop, giving us 28mm of stack height in the forefoot. Now this is a very big shoe, and I get that, like, sometimes shoes want to make the shoe appear even bigger and taller than it actually is, or sometimes they just want to create sidewalls for your foot to kind of sit inside, and so the foam comes up higher than what your heel or the bottom of your foot actually sits on. But I think with 36mm as the stated stack height for this shoe, I think they may be just giving us the number of the foam that's in this shoe, and then the actual measured stack height I think is easily going to be way over 40mm, because this shoe is very big. Now, the main thing that's in this shoe, or the only thing that's in this midsole, is Under Armour's new Hover Plus midsole foam material. Now, Under Armour isn't disclosing exactly what the formulation of Hover Plus is, or at least I don't have that information available to me at this time, but it is one of those beaded foams that to me looks and feels a lot like the Power Run Plus that we used to see in the older versions of the Saucony Triumph series, and very similar, at least in appearance, to what we used to see in Adidas back when they had just regular Boost. Now, to protect all this midsole foam, Under Armour is applying what they're calling thin web rubber outsole, and there are some exposed areas of foam in the shoe to help keep some weight down. But even though it's called thin web, there is a very generous and thick application of that outsole material on this shoe, especially in some of the higher wear areas. There is a lot of rubber on the bottom of this shoe. Moving to the upper, we have what Under Armour is calling their IntelliKnit. It looks like a knit material and it has the word knit in it, but it doesn't exactly feel like a knit material. It's not as stretchy, soft, or as comfortable as I would normally think of when I'm thinking about a knit material. Now, there is also a lot of padding and foam on the tongue and around the heel cup and onto this Achilles flare to help try and make sure that the fit is accommodating to a wide variety of heel shapes, and also to make it feel a little bit more luxurious. And there is a big TPU heel clip to help make the shoe stay stable. All of these things add up to quite a bit of weight. Under Armour lists this shoe coming in at a chart-topping 11.8 ounces for a US men's size 9. I actually weighed mine, and mine came in substantially lighter, still heavy, but it came in half an ounce lighter at 11.3 ounces and 320 grams. Now that we've talked about what the shoe is like on paper, let's talk about what it's like on foot. And despite the heavy weight of this shoe, this Under Armour Infinite Elite is a very promising shoe, and it gives me some excitement for what Under Armour may be able to release in the future. Now, it was a bit firm for a daily training shoe for my preferences as someone that loves super squishy shoe, and I didn't exactly love it when I used it for cool down miles after a workout. So it's not exactly a max cushion shoe for me either, although for my bigger, taller friends, this may be just right. But for me, this shoe became most interesting when I was picking up the pace just a little bit. Everything in that kind of easy to moderate range, that's where this foam really started to get exciting. So if you've got a run with some light pace changes in there, this shoe is a really fun cruiser. Now, I mentioned earlier that it visually reminds me of Saucony's Power Run Plus, and it definitely on foot feels a lot like some of those older versions of Power Run Plus. And it even kind of reminds me of Power Run PB, or at least some of the really early versions of Power Run PB when it was a little bit firmer of a formulation. Overall, it kind of reminds me a lot of Styrofoam, but in a good way. Even when I pick it up and touch it, it kind of has that styrofoamy kind of feel to it. And while that might not sound the most kind of exciting, when you are putting just a little bit more into the shoe, when you're picking up the pace a little bit, I feel like then the compression and decompression works just right for me, and it gives me a nice sense of rhythm and bounciness that I'm really enjoying for some of those daily training runs that might have a little bit of spice built into them. It's unfortunate for me though that the shoe is quite heavy, because otherwise I think that this shoe really could give the Super Blast or the Invincible a run for their money. Now, the other area where I feel like this shoe comes quite a bit short is in the upper. Now, I love a good knit material, and I feel like I'm the last advocate left out there for bringing knit materials back into running shoes. I think they're super comfortable. I love to wear them. I feel like they're great for a running performance product, but it's a material that seems to be going away. I appreciate that Under Armour is trying to bring it back here, but this execution just isn't it. It's not stretchy like it should be. It's not comfortable like a knit material should be, or at least when I hear the word knit, or if you're going to put the word knit into a trademarked product name. And I feel like, especially visually speaking, there's just a lot left to be desired with the way that this shoe is executed. There's just something about it that's really frumpy that I'm just not enjoying in terms of the visual aesthetic of the upper. It fits reasonably well. It's overly padded and it's a little bit of a sweat sponge. From a visual perspective and from a performance perspective, there's a lot more that could have been done to really elevate a shoe that's going to be called Infinite Elite. But if you're old school and are the kind of person that says we don't choose a running shoe by color, or it doesn't matter what a running shoe looks like, then I feel like the Under Armour Infinite Elite is something you should definitely consider, because although it is a little bit heavy, it's a pretty fun shoe to run in. Now, this is normally the part of the video where I like to take a moment to step back and see where the shoe I'm reviewing might fit within a broader lineup of shoes within a running shoe brand. The only difficulty here is that Under Armour hasn't always been the most consistent when it comes to their dedication to the performance running space. Now, I've been running in Under Armour shoes for years. I remember one of my favorite Under Armour shoes that they've ever made was the CGR Hover Mid. It was a mid-rise winter shoe that had a knit material that I actually really enjoyed. It had like the Bluetooth chip inside the heel, and it connected to map my run. So I was an early adopter of Under Armour performance running, and I really like those shoes, but I just feel like over the years, they didn't really change those shoes very much. Under Armour running shoes kind of always look the same like Under Armour running shoes, so I've kind of lost interest in what they had to offer, although this Under Armour Infinite Elite definitely is a big step in the right direction, and I feel like if I were to kind of build an Under Armour running shoe rotation with the product that they have now, at least the product that I'm aware of that I've tested, it would kind of basically be built around the Under Armour Infinite Elite. I would use it for my easy runs, my recovery runs, even my long runs with some pace changes in it. This is the shoe that I would use for the most of my training, even more so than in another brand's running shoe lineup for their daily trainer, just because there just aren't as many other Under Armour models that I'm as excited about right now. And then the only other shoe in the rotation that I would probably put in would be the race shoe if you wanted to stay within Under Armour for your race product as well. And this is the Under Armour Flow Velocity Elite version 2. It has a great track record. Sharon Lokedi has won the New York Marathon in it, came in 4th in the Paris Olympics in it, came 2nd in the Boston Marathon in it. So the shoe has quite a pedigree. But it's a shoe that I haven't exactly loved. It has bio P-backs in it, which is a little bit firmer than regular P-backs, but I do appreciate the attempt at some eco-friendliness there. And it does have a carbon fiber plate, but it also has this bottom layer of supercritical foam. And in the heel, there's quite a bit of it. And so I feel like this is a fast shoe that some people like Sharon Locati's of the world can run fast in. But for me, it's not really a shoe that I love for marathons. It's something that I would take for like 5K, 10K racing, maybe up to the half marathon. But as far as like what's in the Under Armour lineup now, these are kind of the two shoes, and you can certainly have a really great time running with a 2-shoe rotation. And for Under Armour, this is what it would look like. Now let's wrap up the video by going over the buying guide, and we'll also talk about some alternatives that you may want to also consider. The Under Armour Infinite Elite is a pretty good option for long runs and for daily training for my high mileage runners. And for my bigger, taller friends, this might be the perfect level of cushion for you for your daily training needs. And I think if you're an athlete coming over from a different sport or a team sport or a ball sport, like a lot of Under Armour customers are, I feel like this is going to be a really good option for you to get into the running community. And at $160, I think that the price is very fair, but let's take a look at some of the competition to see what that $160 will get you. Now, already in this video, we've talked quite a bit about the Saucony Power Run Plus foams. So let's talk about one of my favorite Power Run Plus shoes from Saucony, and that's the Triumph. And I'm looking specifically at versions 20 and 21, which were, I think, pretty much the same shoe, maybe just a different upper or a slightly changed upper. Version 22 got substantially different and got a different foam. So it's going to be a little bit different of an experience, and I think less similar to what you're getting in the Infinite Elite. Now, the Power Run Plus is also a beaded foam, and it looks and feels very similar to what we're getting out of the Under Armour Infinite Elite's Hover Plus midsole foam. And I feel like those two shoes can be used very similarly. Both of these shoes are a little bit firm for my daily training preferences, and they're kind of built like max cushion shoes, but I feel like once you start moving in them just a little bit quicker than easy, that's when the shoes start to really come to life, and that's where I feel like the cushioning for me feels at its best. The Triumph 20 and 21 used to retail at the same price as the Under Armour Infinite Elite at $160, but since the Triumph 21 has been around for a while, you can find it still some places for around $120, and I feel like that's something you should definitely consider. And then the other shoe that I think we should take a look at is the shoe that I always compare the Triumph against, because it's another shoe that has beaded foams as one of the first shoes to use beaded foams. That's from Adidas, and that's the Ultraboost. This is the Ultraboost 5X, and it's got a different formulation of boost this time. It's got light boost in it, which is a lighter formulation of the regular boost material that initially made the Ultraboost line so popular. Now, the light boost material, as the name implies, makes the foam a little bit lighter, but I also feel like it's got a little bit less rebound to it. It's a little softer and a little bit mushier, which for a shoe that's called Ultraboost and is kind of in that max cushion category, I feel like that's the right move and progress for that shoe. So if you want something that's a little bit more comfortable, looks a lot better, and a little bit more cushioned, then I would say go with the Ultraboost. It is going to be at a premium though, because it comes in at $180. So those are my thoughts on the Under Armour Infinite Elite. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel Mondays and Thursdays. I'd love to see you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?